I'm going to take you now to the jungle. This was part of the adventure, and we're about to launch the raft that we built ourselves so that we could go down the Madre de Dios River, which was a tributary to the Amazon. And Fitz gave me a bottle of beer to to help launch this raft. We wanted to christen it with good luck. So I took the bottle and I swung it as hard as I could, and it did not break. It hit the logs and bounced off into the river, and that was not the best omen for this journey. It was not the best beginning. But we went anyway, and it was a glorious, glorious time. We called her the Pink Palace. She's half pink, half blue. And she took us for hundreds of miles down that river. It was about 500 miles as the river turns. And it was, as I say, glorious. The sky was blue, the sun was shining every day, and the birds were singing as they went over into the jungle. You can see that it is virgin rainforest there. Very, very few people we passed. But we felt so free. It was like fiction. The butterflies landed on my shoulder, and we felt like Huck Finn, completely free. But the fourth night, a huge storm came over us, and it sent us off a channel that we didn't know about that was an offshoot to this river, and took us many miles down to a dead-end jungle that was completely flooded. And most of our food had been sent overboard by that storm. So now we were in this flooded jungle where the water went up 15, maybe 20 feet up the trunks of the trees. And we looked out, it had spilled over all the land, anywhere we could see, under any trees. It just went on and on for miles. And so we realized we were trapped. And one other way we hoped we could get out, but we knew that our raft only went one way. They're designed just to go down with the current, not up. So we knew that we were really trapped. And what could we do? We just had each other. We were all alone, hardly any food, just a little bit of cheese, a little bit of pea soup that was dried, and some sugar. And we were really scared. So we looked to each other and tried to figure what were we going to do to keep hope going. Now I'd like to take you a little bit into what we were trying to do. We had to go deep down for that inner strength that I was saying that we all do have, and I didn't know about it until I was in the jungle, but we did have to go deep down beyond our fear, and we found the hope and the perseverance to help us keep going. And some of the things that we learned from that inner strength, first of all, we did have love. We were in love, and that helped because we were able to help each other, cooperate, and we never ended up blaming each other. We tried so many things, and some worked, some didn't, but we kept a positive feeling the best we could. One of the really important things we tried to do was problem solve. Now, we were in this area that we knew nothing about. We were tourists. We only had read the National Geographic. So we were really both novices at what is it how can we do these little acts. We felt we had to take action to keep us feeling we were doing something. And any action that turned out that it worked, we would take actual pleasure in it, even though we were trapped. And we were trapped like this for 26 days. So some people who have read the book that I wrote, Ruthless River, and other people who have heard about this over the years, heard our story, say, well, we never could have done that. We couldn't have kept going for 26 days. And I'm here to say, well, really, yes, you could, because we all do have that inner strength. We may not use it all the time. We may not realize until we really need it. I know I certainly didn't. But it's there. And every difficulty we have and every challenge we have, we can find that we have an opportunity to see that inner strength that we have working for us. Every step we take going forward, 5, 10, 100 steps, if we end up having to go back those steps, 5, 10, all the way to the beginning, if we can do it again, which we found we did have to do, if we can do that again, then we need to applaud that to ourselves at least, just to keep ourselves going. It really was encouraging to us whenever we could applaud each other for just the most minor thing. It really validated us. So we kept doing that, but what we really had to do was a big action, and that was we realized we had to swim out of there because it was so remote, and we tried to take the Pink Palace up the river, even though we knew we couldn't, and sure enough, we could hardly get her to move. So we started screaming for help, and we realized nobody could hear us, and it was just too remote, and there were no cell phones, of course, no internet at that time, not even any regular phones. So now we knew we had to swim because we were going to be weaker every day, and we were at our strongest now. And we didn't know any of the plants. We didn't know what would outright kill us. We didn't know any of the insects. And then we didn't have any firearm. So we couldn't even protect ourselves from a predator or catch any dinner. So we didn't take it lightly, though, because we had been told by the people in the village where we made the raft, don't go in that water because it has the caiman, that's a South American crocodile. It has the anaconda, and those can grow very big, and they can crush you and swallow you whole. It had the piranha, of course, and it also, that water, had the Canungra, which is a very small little fish, and it can go up your orifices and eat your intestines, and you bleed to death. So they're really, it was scary. We obviously didn't want to go in that water. So the first time we made 2 tries to escape, and the first time we made a little raft, even knowing that it probably wouldn't go up the river, but we were able to do it for 10 to 12 hours. And then the next day, we slept in a tree, and the next day we kept going, and we were just exhausted, but we kept going and going. And then a storm came up, and we just couldn't get any further. And we were washed back within 15 minutes, if you think of all the hours we had paddled up that river, and back we went so fast. And now we knew that we better try again, but this time we decided to swim. The first time with the paddling, the reason why we did the little raft was to try to keep a little above the water, away from those predators. But now we felt we had to swim. We had to make these decisions together, and we did that. And we started swimming, and we swam for till dusk for, again, 10 or 12 hours. And there was no land that we could rest on. Once in a while, we'd find some logs, and that's when we would really get so excited that we could rest. And then the second day, we were washed back again. So now we knew that we could not escape again. We were weaker, we didn't have any food, but we promised ourselves that we were going to keep going. And so we started looking around for food, and also we promised that we would try something every day. Like we made an SOS out of the extra plastic for the tent. And we made, Fitz thought of making a fishnet out of his nylon shirt. And believe it or not, we found 3 minnows, or caught 3 minnows, and you can imagine how excited we were. And we just were so hungry, we swallowed those whole and raw. And then we found a grasshopper and a baby grasshopper, and we ate those. So this was over time. And then we found a nest of baby birds, and we had to eat those too. And we ate everything, bones and all. So we were very desperate, and we kept going. And then sometimes we would feel really, really low. Like one time, Fitz lost his ring. He'd gotten so thin, and it fell. His wedding ring fell into the water, and of course you couldn't see anything. It was brown. So we were there with he was sobbing, and I just held him and kissed him and told him, we're going to make it. We're going to get out of here. And so we kept struggling, and then finally I got somehow a clarity in my mind. This was on the 14th day, and somehow I thought, I want to have a child. I want to have a child with Fitz. And so Fitz got excited too. You know, how are we going to do that out here dying in the jungle? But I don't know, call it a vision, an epiphany, I don't know. But it did help bring more hope, more perseverance, the inner strength. It just surged up again, and we just kept going and going. And then, when I say going, we'd paddle around a little bit. Not like that, not like that. Later. And so we paddled a little bit, and we ended up with bees all over us. They were on our faces, our bodies, our eyelids, our tongues practically, our lips, and they would crawl in if they could. And so we were miserable, of course, and we tried to go out. Now we were just crawling. We couldn't walk anymore. So we were crawling so we wouldn't fall and break a bone. So because of those, the logs were round. Here we are right near the end of all these bees, and suddenly we look out on the 26th day, and we see coming from the flooded jungle this dugout canoe with 2 men in it. And I said, oh my gosh, we're going to live, we're going to be saved. And I'm happy to say that we did live, obviously. I'm happy. And we did thrive eventually when we recuperated.